knows what darkness dwells within? Well, the person who's experiencing the darkness definitely has a pretty good and sometimes pretty scary idea of the level of darkness that dwells within. They also say a lot of other stupid things like beauty is in the eyes of the beholder, but if we're going to be true about it, ugliness is also in the eyes of the beholder. You have the choice at the present moment to see yourself as a sinner or as a saint. And you may find yourself in a position where you're doing a little bit of both because you see you're going to hate yourself at first for a decision that you're making in the coming days. But in hindsight, you're going to go, I'm really glad I made that choice. This was a good direction to go in. So, in the coming days, you're likely going to find yourself in a position where you're taking a good, maybe perhaps even stone cold look at yourself and holding yourself accountable for either a decision that you're considering or a decision that you made already. And this could be in various areas of your life, dependent upon where Jupiter and Mercury happen to be transiting in your horoscope. And for a little more information on that, I highly recommend scheduling in a consultation with me. You can schedule one of my astrological services at the link that you'll see above. But you're going to be taking a look one way or another. And I want you to remember this when you go into that period of time because you may be being a little too tough on yourself. You see, it's good, it's really good to hold yourself accountable, but it's equally good to exonerate yourself for the choices that you've made. We've got an interaction between Jupiter and Mercury as they're transiting through Ardra nakshatra and Saturn in Uttara Bhadrapada nakshatra that's responsible for a lot of this astrological energy as we shift between the 7th and the 13th of June of this month. Let's touch on this a little bit. For those of you who are not familiar with nakshatras or what they are, they're another way of dividing the sky different from the zodiac signs. And they function in a somewhat similar way, but equally really different way than zodiac signs do. They color the influence of a planet, but they're quite often a little more, well, symbolically oriented. They present some eerie symbolism when they are present in our lives, either by transit or getting activated in our chart. And so, for a little bit of fun in the coming days, if you start noticing dogs, pay special attention to it because Ardra Nakshatra is connected to dogs. But Ardra has a tendency to cause us to become sometimes a little bit overly identified with something. It causes us to see something, to pay attention to something, but then it can cause us to blow it out of proportion, make it larger than life. And in addition to that, it's also connected with effort and energy. So you may identify an opportunity in the coming days and have a very strong desire to put tons of energy and effort into that direction. And as a result of that, well, maybe identify some things about yourself that you don't really feel that comfortable with. And with Saturn influencing from Uttara Bhadrapada Nakshatra, Purva Bhadrapada, which is right before Uttara Bhadrapada, and Uttara Bhadrapada have a tendency to cause us to confront our shadow side. So there may be a chance in these coming days to take, as I mentioned, a good, strong look at yourself and hold yourself accountable, but equally a potential to hold yourself, well, a little too accountable for something that A, is not really your fault, B, is you're not really guilty of in the first place, and C, well, it just kind of sounded good to say C. I'm only joking. C, well, you're likely going to find yourself in a position where you're going to go, you know what? Sure, maybe that makes me feel bad about myself, but ultimately at the end of the day, there was really nothing wrong with the decision that I made. You see, when Jupiter and Mercury conjunct each other, it creates something called Kshudita Avasta. And this is created when planets that are enemies to each other join each other or aspect each other. And Kshudita means starvation. So one of the planets starves the other. So in the coming days, we're going to have Mercury starving Jupiter. And when Mercury starves Jupiter, it causes us to identify opportunities outside of ourselves and to see how good those opportunities are and to see how good things outside of ourselves are, but equally to not feel so good about ourselves or not see the good within ourselves. And so you're likely going to be in a position where you're doing that in the coming days, but then it has this really weird thing that happens around the 10th where after you hold yourself accountable, after you maybe point fingers at yourself, which I recommend that you really remember this video and don't point fingers at yourself. Maybe take a look, grow from the experience. Always good to grow from the experience, but don't take it so personally. You have the choice to identify where a problem is within yourself, identify a fault that you have, but equally to not identify with it. If you find yourself with those feelings surfacing, let yourself move through it because it's a very purifying experience. Ardra has a tendency to purify us through difficult emotional circumstances, sometimes even frustrating emotional circumstances. So let yourself move through it. Let yourself really see how good you are and how smart this decision is that you're making after you work through the initial thing of taking a look at yourself, that is. So the more difficult part of this transit is going to be taking place between the 7th of June and the 10th of June. And then the benefit from the transit is likely going to roll your way between the 10th and the 13th of June. So be on special lookout for this. And again, when in doubt during this situation, if you have a dog, pay special attention to your dog. Dogs are the animal connected to Ardra Nakshatra. If you don't have a dog, but you happen to encounter a lot of dogs, give a quick hello, say hello, and really pay special attention to that dog because it's there to teach you a very gentle and special lesson. And if you could use a little bit of help with these approaching transits, I do highly recommend scheduling in one of my astrological services. You can find those on my astrological services page, which you'll find linked just above. That's going to do it for this look at Jupiter and Mercury as they transit through Ardra Nakshatra, most intensively felt between the 7th and the 13th of June, 2025. Until next time, please do take the very best care of yourself. Bye now.